information goes in the same place.
Yeah.
Same database, same data. It's just done from here rather than from the POS. So you would go here in theory, select your cashier, go in the pickup tab and say, I want to take $10 out of the drawer. And I'm going to move this out of your way. Take out $10 out of the drawer and put it in the safe. And I'm going to post this. So I just literally the same thing as doing a drop on the register, but from here. Just to populate some data and show you an alternate way of doing it. But if this part confuses you, pretend that you did it on the point of sale. It does exactly the same thing. So now I can see in this module that I had $24.83 of sale. I picked up $10. So in drawer, I now have $14.83. Same thing as on your report. It's just a grid to display it. If I show you the financial report again, now that we did that pickup, now in my tendered, I have $24 of cash, but in the pickups, I have $10. So in drawer, I'm left with $14. That's all just pretty standard for now. And then at the end of the day, I'm going to close everything in there, pretend that we do more sales and more drops and there's more data. At the end of the day, I can go do my declare of how much I have. So cashier finishes the shift, pulls the drawer out with the report on the receipt printer, gives that to the manager. Manager goes in the back and counts that money. Now, right now, wrong module. Right now, if I look at my cashier number 7, who just gave me her drawer, I can pick it from this list here and go, all right, this is cashier 7. Gave me the drawer. I sold $24.83. No initial loan. I picked up $10. I'm left with $14.83 in the drawer theoretically. I can go do my declare at the end of the day, count the money, and I don't have $14.83. I have $14 and 48. Slight difference. I'm gonna go post this. And I'm closing my day for that cashier. He's done with his shift, gave me his drawer and his report. I'm putting in how much I'm counting of the money.
So again, Alex, I'll do this while we go along, just because sure. I know how Tulsa does it versus what you're showing. So just this is what you would normally be doing at the end of the day on one of the tagging machines in the back for each cashier. You guys do it as a I forget what terminology we use, but it's the pickup that you do every night, that it's just going to show slightly different on the report here than it would on your normal end of day report, but the net end result is going to be the exact same result for the cashier. So if you have any questions as Alex is going through,
don't hesitate.
Just shout out and be like me and just interrupt them. So
don't hesitate. But yeah, I just wanted to show you the general principle of accounting here. So I sold $24, picked up $10, should have $14.83 at the end of the day in my drawer, but my manager counted only $14.48, so I'm short by negative 35 cents. Debit card I did not declare yet, so I'm short by the whole amount, but that doesn't really matter. So now if I close this, I could do another cashier, other amounts, enter all my data. But if I take that report now, it reflects everything I did in there. I have $24.83 tendered, $10 picked up, $14.83 theoretically left in the drawer. I declared $14.48, so I'm short by 35 cents. That's how it reflects in the reports. Now, this is the pickup module. That's to take money from the drawers to the safe, and from the safe to the drawers if you do loans or floats at the beginning of the day. Now, there's also another module for the safe balancing. This one is more from taking money from the safe and putting it back on your bank account and vice versa. So if we go in there, it's kind of the same grid principle, kind of ish. But there's also a notion of the last time you closed your safe, right? So I did my last safe close on last Thursday, I believe. And that close was 1248 of cash. Okay. So I had that, and I received $1,500, deposited 200, loaned that amount to my cashier drawers, plus my pickups that I did. Here's what I should have as my calculated close, right? Because my last safe close was 1248, plus everything I did. This is what I should have in the safe. So your opening will always be the previous safe close. So right now my open was 1248. Since that last safe close, I received $1,500. I had $200 of expenses, $50 of loans in my drawer. I picked up this amount, so that should have incremented it. So here's my total balance here. So basically, you go in here every time you do a deposit to the bank. You go in the deposit tab and say, I'm going to take $500 and post that. And now my deposits will eventually refresh. It takes a few minutes. And all of that is reflected in your ending balance.
Where's that $500 you just?
Come again?
Where's that $500 you just deposited on there?
Right here. I already had 200, so it incremented it to 700 now.
Yep.
So since my last safe close, that was last Thursday, I went twice to the bank, went to deposit 200 and once to deposit 500. And then this is my remaining balance in the safe. I'm not sure where that $3 of short comes from. I think it's because when I declared last Thursday, I was short $3 in my overshort.
So basically, what this shows is every 3 days they're gonna be doing a safe close, and
right, which I did last Thursday at $1,248.
Yeah. The understanding that I have from what I've seen in emails is every 3 days when they do a safe a safe close, it's basically going to be the equivalent of their deposit to the bank, which should bring their safe to zero.
You never leave any money in the safe? You always take the whole amount?
If they probably have a petty cash that they don't track. They're not going to be tracking through this.
Okay.
Carla, am I correct in?
That's right. So we have a change bank for the store that we don't need to include in this.
Okay.
So my question was going to be if today on the 20th I take 3 deposits, can I do 3 for the same date?
Yes.
So if I want to take
right
Friday,
now I have
Saturday,
700, right? I have 700. I can go back to last Saturday and say I went to give a deposit on Saturday, and let's put another $100 and post it. So that was before my last safe close. Sorry, after my last safe close, but before today. I'm doing it late. I got sidetracked. Okay. Oops. Sorry. I closed the window I should not have.
So how do they reconcile that bank or that safe deposit report to bank deposits? Like what report would they be looking at? Just the financial report, or?
Let's see what that looks like. Let's go. Yeah, looks like you only have a total. That's right. Let's see if we can go grab the individual transactions.
Is there anything under the safe balance report?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
In financial there at the bottom? So it's just a summary. It doesn't show.
It doesn't show individual transactions. No. But you could do, let's take the 20th. Yeah, it's just a summary. You're right. But I'm pretty sure it does the transaction in the journal, though. Let's see. Yeah, individual transactions are in the journal.
So you just search for bank close or safe
For cash close. Yeah.
close. And that would be actual bank deposits, would it?
Correct.
Cool.
Actually, no, your deposits would be, no, you're right. Yeah, that would be your deposits.
$100, yeah. Yeah, 2483.
Where's the $500 one that you did as well? Is that a up one transaction?
Let's see, probably.
It was today.
Oh. Look at 84, I think. Transaction 84.
Hold on. Well, now's a good time to use our EJ to find it.
Yeah.
So here's one. Here's the other.
Okay, so there's
Here's
the
the other.
500. So if today they were doing deposits for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I would say that for tracking purposes, you would want to do 3 deposits. They can be dated today in the system so that they don't show that soft date, which will just confuse the heck
Right.
out of people. Just show 3 individual deposits for today, and they can print those 3 transactions on a single piece of paper through the through Tracker to include with the deposit or to forward to accounting to say, here's the 3 amounts that we took to the bank today, I guess. And this is more that I've ever seen of the safe balancing. So I'm winging it as we're going.
So I have a question. If each of the deposits is stored separately in the database, then we would be able, at least theoretically, to pull them up for a report that we do. So let me back up just a little bit. So what we do, each of the stores has a nearby local bank where they are making these deposits every few days. And then on the day after the day they make the deposit, then we sweep that into our operating account, only it's a manual sweep. So we have to say how much to take from each of the depository banks. So, I mean, I can see why you would want, for different applications, you would want both the detail and the summary, because when I make a transfer from one account to another, I'm just going to want to take the whole $800 in this example as the transfer amount. So, but there are other instances like where you would want to prove how you got to that total of 800. You'd want the
Right.
100, 500.
That would be where the tracker comes in. You do a text search on your tracker to find all the transactions individual one by one and audit this way.
So, sorry, Carl, just before you go, Alex, can you go into the safe report again?
The financial?
Yeah, under the financial,
This one?
the safe balance. Yeah. So if we print that, so Carla, if this was sent to either printed out and faxed or emailed directly, say to you, you would see here the $800. So that's what you need to transfer. But if you're expecting 850 at some point and you only see 8, then the store can provide the detail by pulling it from Tracker to get the 3 individual amounts that they did. And they could either be done by day, or they could be done just today's the day I'm doing them, so let's do them all. But the only thing is once they do the deposit, the store would then would want to actually do a safe close to basically what should zero their safe out.
Right. So the safe close is usually when accounting checks out and gives the okay, then you just go close it, and that's going to be your next open.
Yeah. So does that kind of answer, Carla?
I think it kind of does. So run through one more time the safe close operation.
Very easy. Now that we, have been putting all these deposits and some sales in there and some pickups, everything checks out. You just click Safe Close here. And it's telling you, are you sure? Because you can't enter any more transactions after you close it. You're posting this. So you go yes. And my safe close, the last safe close will now be today. And your opening amount will be that amount of closing last time.
Okay. And then so say we suddenly found another bag that we needed to take to the bank. Can I still date it today? So I found another $100 to take today.
Right. Okay. So let's go in the safe balancing again.
So you've already closed, but you found another bank?
Yeah.
Right. So you can go here in the revenues. You cannot make a transaction before the last closing date. So no, you can't go back in the past. You would have to put it in the safe of the new day, the new open.
So what that tells me, Carla, is that once you have taken that money to the bank, that's when the manager comes back after doing it, that's when you do your safe close. Exactly. Because hopefully they've done a final check before they actually go to the bank, because then you could enter it a third one or a fourth one if they find one that was missed. But ideally we want the receives, the open. I'm pointing to my own screen. Sorry. The open will, in your circumstances, ideally should be a 0, and then your receipts are going to be the cash that was declared over the 3 days, or picked up or declared over the 3 days, which then should equal what your deposit is. You'll have nothing in loans. I'm sorry, the pickup and declares or where does the
so it receives the sales?
Come again, sorry?
Where does the receives come from?
From here. I did a manual.
Yeah. Okay, so
I had manually receive means you went to the bank to physically grab some money and put in there for your drawer flows, which I didn't realize you guys didn't have. So I had priorly put in $1,500 of receives in there. So that's where it comes from.
So okay, so then let me back up, because I was.
So the sales don't show up in the safe balancing,
which makes sense. So your open ideally would be 0.
Right.
Your receives is going to be 0.
0.
I'm going to skip the deposits for a second. Your loans will always be 0 because you're not
you
doing
don't use that. Yeah.
Your pickups and declares would be
all the
what
drops.
You did,
the sum of all drops
for the days. And then that would be on day 2. Your balance is going to be day 1 and day 2. And then day 3, I do my pickups for that third day. Then if I'm going to do my actual bank deposit, that will now go under your expense and deposits, and that would actually 0 your bank, your safe again, once you've taken it to the bank. I think
No, that's exactly it, Dave.
Okay.
So you can do this at the store as well as at head office for a specific store. that
Correct.
Not usual. Can you do it at head office, Alex? Because I know
Actually, everything you do in here will also go to head office, which I conveniently have open here.
But I know pickups and declares you cannot do it central for a store.
Pickups, no. Safe balancing, if we go in there, can we open both at once on the same PC? I'm not sure.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, you
Central
can.
and Hellbox.
Okay. So yeah, this one has a drop down list for which store at Central. So you can do a safe close at Central for a certain store.
Are you sure you're in central?
I am certain. Let's make sure.
They both had the same option there.
Let's make sure we're on Central.
Sorry, I think I blinked and missed you opening the whole module when Central opened. So,
But yeah, it has that drop down list. Let's see if we can do here. We see the data. Can we post data? Let's deposit another $100.
Yeah.
Yep, looks like it.
And this is tracked by user, is that right? You had to log in as with your user, so we would know.
Correct. If you're not logged in, you wouldn't have access to that module.
Hey,
and
Alex,
tracker will show you who did the transaction.
Okay.
what if you enter in a deposit and then realize later you entered in the wrong amount? Can you correct that, or you just make an adjustment?
You can just make an adjustment.
Okay, so you put a negative whatever or a
Yep.
positive if you're short.
Correct.
Yeah.
Or you could use maybe one of these expenses. No, not a whole lot of
No.
people use that, but that'd just be
No.
another line. No.
No.
Yeah, I agree with Dave. Why keep it
if
simple?
If the deposit can you go back to the deposit tab for a sec? So here we've deposited 700. If it was supposed to be 600 that you deposited, I would assume that, Alex, if we just did a minus 100 as our
Correct.
deposit, it'll adjust it to where we should be.
Yes.
Well, what if you did a minus 700 and then a plus 6?
Okay, let's do that. Let's try it.
Carla.
I just like stuff to match.
You know how
We accounting
people-
types.
You know how people think, right? People want to correct that first and then put it in properly.
It came back to well, I had 800. I went negative 700.
Yeah.
So now I'm up to 100. But yeah,
And then
I
you
mean,
can do the six,
it
so.
would certainly do that, and you would show each individual transaction in your tracker.
And those are, one more time, sorry, the deposits that are entered here
Mm-hmm.
are the deposits for each day, or these are the deposits going to the bank?
They are the
deposits
deposits to the bank.
Okay.
The deposits for each day, you just do that through your normal point of sale way with the drop button.
And those will appear on this report as pickups
Correct.
and declare.
They'll show in here.
That's pickups. Okay.
Yeah. So like right now when they go and they count down the drawer and they enter it all in on one of the POSs in the back.
Right.
That will come through as a positive in the pickup and declares. So that will increase what the safe thinks you're supposed to have.
Right.
So then the deposit basically will zero out when you're taking those days to the bank. So there any other questions?
Lori, Vanessa, what do you think?
Seems like a little more work than what we're doing now.
It's added steps, yes.
What is the purpose of doing it every 3 days as opposed to every day?
Wasn't my idea, so I don't know.
Was it just like thinking there?
Well, it's just,
saving
it's to save time counting and being away from the store, going to the bank.
Right.
So, but the money shows up in pickups in the same way that it does now, right? So, we'll count down each cashier, Dave, like we do now.
Yep.
So there's no extra step there. The only extra step is here on this page when you take it to the bank. So you record your deposit on that.
Yeah, it's going to be
minus tab.
Yeah, so it's just going to be the manager or assistant who's processing the actual run to the bank is going to come in and do under the DEP minus. They're just going to enter however you want to do it, whether they are entering it 3 different transactions for each of the 3 deposits that they're doing, or they just, which really eliminates them even adding it wrong when they are adding the 3. And I worked with Carla enough, I know. So if they do it 3 times, then that just puts the exact amount of each deposit in the file. They go to the bank. Once they deposit it, once they come back, they would then do a safe close, because at that point their balance on this report should show as a 0.
See, I would feel more comfortable if it shows each deposit versus one number.
Yeah. The only thing.
So go back to the deposits tab. Does it show?
Is it showing as multiple deposits, or is it just showing the one number and then they're going to have to make sure it balances?
So in this window, you just see the current total. If you want to get the details, you can go in Albos and grab the individual details from the tracker.
But they're just going to go in this screen and enter 3 deposits. So an amount post, an amount post, an amount
Correct.
Post.
Yep.
So they're going to be able to show the individual deposits and not one large number for all 3 of them, if we're using 3 as an example.
They will see one. The report itself will show a 1 total number, but under tracker, where they go in and they can see individual sales transactions, you would be able to see the individual deposits. Like, here's the $100 one that Alex just did.
Okay. And they're going to measure this balance.
Now, the only thing to keep in mind is, which I guess really won't matter, but if once they do their deposits, it's still going to be adding any pickups that they do during the day into the safe. So when they actually do a safe close, it will not necessarily be a 0, because if I have a cashier that finishes at 1 o'clock, so I count her drawer down and I enter it in, my pickups will show that amount in there already. But if I haven't gone to the bank, if I don't go to the bank until 3, you'll still end up with a safe balance of her declare for today, because you haven't deposited that yet. If that makes any sense on how I explained it.
That makes sense. I think
okay.
For people.
Because I kind of confused myself when I was explaining it. So
no, you're perfectly clear. I just think it's going to be confusing to our managers. It's going to take more time.
It's an added step for them, basically, with 3 deposit transactions. And I guess realistically, you don't necessarily need to ever do the actual safe close, do you, Alex?
Come again, Dave? Sorry.
The actual safe close really doesn't necessarily have to be done.
No, I mean,
because your safe balance will, if I deposit today, except you won't see the numbers will never reset to
Correct.
0 unless you do in the deposit column will not reset to 0 unless you do a deposit, unless you do a safe close.